Hey, it's Ethan here at eTrailer. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Kuat Piston Pro Hitch Bike Rack and how it fits on our 2023 Nissan Rogue. Piston Pro is a premium option with a load of premium features, which we'll get to in just a bit. But first and foremost, it is a platform style bike rack capable of supporting two bikes up to 67 pounds. It's going to hold on to our bikes primarily with this dual wheel mount design with two hoops on either side. So it doesn't make any frame contact. If you want to get your carbon frame bikes on here, maybe mix and match, maybe just have a really nice paint job, you can definitely get these bikes on there as well. It also does have a strap kit if you have a bike with fenders. So let's check out a little bit more about how the rack works. One of the earliest features we'll talk about is the ability for the rack to tilt away with the bikes loaded up. So to do that, you'll have to reach in and pull this lever right here in the middle of the trays. Which isn't my favorite location for it, especially if you have another bike loaded up in the front here. It's going to be really difficult to get to, but for now we'll pull it and tilt the rack down towards us. It does tilt pretty aggressively, so we have plenty of room in our case to open up the hatch. Doesn't come anywhere near our handlebars. Might come a little close to the pedal down there at the bottom, but we still have enough room now. If I want to, I can sit here and change my shoes before or after the ride, grab anything out of the back that I might need once we get there. As we fold the rack up, I do want to point out a few things. First of all, it's not the easiest thing to fold up, and it doesn't do a lot of the work for you. So if you do end up with two 67-pound bikes loaded up, I could see that being a bit difficult as well. And now you can see just how close things sit to our Rogue. The pedal right here, if I were to put it all the way around, you see that it would eventually make contact with the back of our vehicle. The handlebars as well do come a little bit close, so it sits really close inside the shank, and that makes for a few difficulties along the way, which we'll show you a few more as we go. We're just using a pretty standard mountain bike here, pretty standard dimensions and specs, so it's kind of going to vary based on which bike you're using. Maybe you have longer handlebars, maybe your pedals are a little bit wider. In any case though, the Piston Pro does sit really close to the Rogue, so some of those issues might be a little bit hard to avoid. From here though, we can get the bike removed. We'll first start by pressing this release down here at the bottom to activate those piston arms. They do fold down all the way, so they'd make contact with the wall over here, so I'm just going to kind of guide that one down slowly. Now I'll hold on to the frame of my bike, press that release again, and I'll push this one all the way down. You can see it does go quite a ways down there, and now I can get my bike up and off. As I fold the hoops up, you'll see that this one wants to stay. You'll have to press that release again to get it re-engaged, and you can hear those micro adjustments along the way. But while we're here, we can also point out the hoops do have different size settings, which you just pinch the back of them to move up and down to accommodate different tire sizes. It's really nice that that's just built in. And we can get this other one out of the way. And on the tray, I just do want to point out that they are capable of supporting a tire width of up to 5 inches right off the bat, and a wheelbase of up to 53 inches. You can also see that there is this lock core right here in the middle of the trays for you to put your cable lock. From here, I just want to point out a couple more things about the tray. The fact that we do have a maximum tire width of up to 5 inches right off the bat, and a wheelbase maximum of 53 inches. Also, you can see that there is this lock core here in the middle of the tray for you to put your cable locks into, and just get this other one out of the way. You can get some measurements to see what it's like to live with this rack on the back of the vehicle. So from the bumper to the furthest point back, it's going to come up to just over 23 inches. So honestly, it doesn't stick out too bad for a rack that has all the features that it does. As far as ground clearance goes, from the furthest point back here to the ground, it's going to be about 20¼ inches. So it's got a nice rise, and the Rogue sits tall enough that I'm not going to be super worried about it making contact with the ground if we're going up hills or over curbs. One thing you can typically do is fold the rack up close to the vehicle to save a little bit of space, which is where we run into some problems again with the Piston Pro and the Rogue. So to fold it up, typically you will use the same lever, but I'll show you what I mean as far as that difficulty. So the bottom hoops clear, but if I weren't holding on to these top ones, they would make contact. So you can fold it up and maybe rest them gently there, but I definitely wouldn't recommend driving like this because they are making contact with your vehicle. The rack's going to shake a little bit while you're moving, and that could potentially damage the back of your vehicle here. But if you want to fold it up maybe for storage in your garage or once you are where you need to be and you do it gently, I think it'll still work. Just definitely be careful. The Piston Pro, while still having all the features that it does, doesn't take up a ton of space, which is nice. We still have full visibility of our license plate. Our backup camera is right here, so you'll definitely be able to see over the top. You might see the rack out of the very bottom. Our taillights don't come anywhere near the rack, and it also sits way lower than our rear window, so there's no interference there or pretty much with anything on the back of our vehicle. The rack uses a 2-inch shank that fits into our 2-inch receiver. It's held in place by this pin with a lock core that's going to be key-to-like to that cable lock that we talked about earlier. It's all held in place with a security Allen key that fits into this back. It stores right here on the top of the rack, so it's not technically tool-free, but you don't have to remember to bring the tool. You just use that to tighten it up, and we can lock that as well so no one can just get in, pull that out, and take the rack out. Overall, again, the Kuat Piston Pro is a premium option, and it does have a ton of premium features. The dual wheel mount design is awesome. The fact that it supports that wheelbase of up to 53 inches, the weight capacity, and 5-inch tire width right off the bat is also really great. It's also really modular. Like I mentioned, you have that strap kit for fenders. You have a telescopic ramp if you need a little bit of help loading and unloading. But unfortunately, just for the case of the 23 Rogue, it does sit a little bit too close for comfort in my opinion. Even when it's folded down, our bike still sat pretty close. So you might want to look into something like the Rocky Mount Skyd Rail if you do like that dual wheel mount design. Probably just give you a little bit more clearance, works in a similar way. But you know, if you do want that Kuat premium finish and all the options that the Piston Pro do provide still, and you're willing to make it work for the vehicle, it's still an option for the Rogue, but again, I would just be wary. This was just a quick look at the Kuat Piston Pro and how it fit on our 2023 Nissan Rogue.